Do you like this type of trash talk from Ramsey?
I love it. I love it. We as the media, we're hypocritical because we have someone that is giving us sound bites, giving us something to watch, some excitement to go and watch these games, and then we're telling them to shut up. Yet when we don't get players to speak and they're boring, we're saying, oh, this guy has no personality. What's wrong with what he's talking about?
I'm with you. I'm not telling him to shut up. Do you think any of his teammates are thinking, hey, shut up?
No, not at all. I love players like him because you know you're going to get 100% from him on the field. And he's never taken it over the line where he starts getting penalties and hurting the team.
True.
He goes, he gets after it, he's physical, he's demonstrative, and that's it.
But that's the thing. You have to back it up, right? If he's just running his mouth and he's not out there performing, then people start to wear thin on it.
That's fine, but I'll tell you what, I was locked into that Giants-Jags game because I wanted to see that matchup. He said he's the best corner. OBJ says he's the best receiver. I wanted to see that. I was excited about that.
I'm trying to read Louis Riddick's face, and somehow I don't think you agree.
You know what? It's like this. I come from a little bit of a different generation when it comes to the NFL. All right, I come from the generation where the guys like Ronnie Lott and Jerry Rice were the people who, these guys were assassins on the field who didn't say a word. Jerry Rice didn't say a word. He didn't have to, because you knew, I better just make sure I'm taking care of myself because he's about to hang about 200 on us. And Ronnie Lott was one of the most feared players ever, and he didn't have to say a word. I don't mind the trash talking. Look, on the football field, I don't mind it. Okay, I used to run my mouth too. I used to let people know when you lit them up pretty good. And you used to be able to really light people up back then. And there was a lot of stuff being said back and forth, and I was all into it. It's just, and look, it's funny because sitting here now as a member of the media, of course we like to hear sound bites. We like to hear people's personalities. It's cool initially to kind of let people know that here, I've arrived, I'm confident, and this is what I'm going to do. I just think at some point in time, the focus needs to shift to what you're going to do on the football field and do it over a long period of time. Because I think a guy of Jalen's talent now, as good as he is, to me, and I'm not telling him what to think. He can think what he wants. But to me, he has a chance now to set himself up to be one of the greats ever to play the game. And now it's not about what you're talking about. It's about what you're doing. And to be considered one of the greats ever play, that means help your team get to Super Bowls and win them. Because if you can do that, people will talk about you the same way they talked about Dion, the same way they talk about Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes,
but Louis,
those kind of guys.
We can't take away what he's doing on the field because he talks. So he can be an extremely good player, and because he talks, we don't want to put him in one of these categories as a Ronnie Lott because he's good and because he's really good and he talks about how good he is, we should not now chastise him or say, you know what, I don't like that he talks, so I won't put him in a category. Well,
let me take it here. I'm not trying to diminish what he does on the football field because I played with Deion Sanders, who was one of the most brash, confident people ever. Yes. But the one thing you never heard Deion do, Deion never trashed anyone else and said this guy's garbage or he's trash or whatever. He respected everybody, you know, as far as how he talked about him. But when he got on the field, my God.
That's an interesting distinction.
I mean, he let you know, like, look, this is my field. This is my house. All the things that he said, look, he was as brash as they come. He just never really made it personal and called somebody else trash and kind of talked somebody down to the point where you're just like, man, that's a little bit harsh. Even if you do think that, and look, I'm sure plenty of times he played against receivers who he thought, you have no chance. I could come out here in my suit and cover you, but he just never said it that way.
It's worth pointing out all of this started because Jalen Ramsey basically suggested that Gronk isn't that good. And unless I'm crazy, Gronk is one of the most unique offensive weapons in the sport today and maybe even ever. So that's how this whole thing began. And candidly, it's ridiculous, right? To suggest Gronk isn't that good is on its face. You can say anything you want, but that is on its face ridiculous.
No, I believe so. Look, Gronk. And I played against some pretty good tight ends, and I've never played against a guy as good as this as far as height, weight, speed, and versatility. Look, Jalen believes, when he matches up against him, he has the ideal skill set, though, to deal with Gronk. There's no question about that. There is a way to be more successful against Gronk than other people, and Jalen has that skill set and he has that mindset, which means he can neutralize him to a certain degree. You're not going to stop him, but he can neutralize him. But to say that he's not that good, look, Gronk is one of the best tight ends ever played.
Look, here's the thing. This has become such an offensive-minded league, right? We're always talking about how the rules are skewed towards offensive players. I don't know if we're talking about Jalen Ramsey unless he put himself into our mouths, so good for him for that.